Hey everybody! Today's video, I am going to be telling you all about Batman the movie from 1966, I believe. Fact check. Was I right? This movie was made off of a TV show from back then, which I didn't realize it was a TV show before they made the movie. This is the amazing classic Adam West Batman in the spandex suit, super campy and silly and ridiculous. It is just great. Obviously, I don't know a ton about the TV show, so I'm not gonna pretend like I know anything. I watched the movie and I'm gonna tell you about that. So the movie starts off right away. Batman and Robin have gotten a call of some sort. They're rushing through Wayne Manor to their Batcave, get in the Batmobile, and they're off to save the day. They go directly to the Batcopter, which is just, it's amazing. They fly out to the ocean where I believe they're trying to save a stolen yacht. So they fly the helicopter over the yacht and they let down the bat ladder, and Batman's going down the ladder to get on the boat. Right as he gets down to the boat, it disappears. And as he's lifted out of the water, a shark is attached to his leg. He just starts beating it in the face. It's clearly a giant like foam rubber shark. It's just amazing. How does Batman get rid of the shark? With some shark repellent bat spray, of course. So obviously starting the movie out with a lot of action. We're in it. It's crazy. Let's go. After all that happens, they get back to, I want to say, the police station or some Jim Gordon's office or something. There's a bunch of reporters in there asking him about the yacht, and Batman's just playing it off like nothing really happened. And then this like fancy Russian lady in this leopard print coat and a tall hat makes her way through the crowd and addresses herself as this very long Russian name that I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce, but abbreviated, it is Kitka, and that's what she goes by. Kitka makes her way up to the front and she's holding a big camera, and she asks Batman to take off his mask so she can get a picture of him, and everyone's like, what? Girl, are you stupid? Excuse me. You can't just ask Batman to take his mask off. And she leaves. And then Batman and the police commissioner, Jim Gordon is one of them, I think. And then there's this other random Irish dude. So they're all talking about what the heck happened. How does a yacht just vanish out of the water? Batman asks what major criminals are still at large. Catwoman, the Riddler, Penguin, and the Joker are all not in prison right now. Basically, they find out the four of them are working together as this criminal super team. Somehow come to the conclusion that they're clearly just trying to take over the world. Don't know exactly what that means, and they never clear that up. Batman and Robin go back to the Batcave and are looking at this picture of where the yacht was on the ocean, and Batman says, wait a minute, and sticks it under his giant bat magnifying glass and sees this little buoy with got like a camera on it or something, and they're like, oh my gosh, it was a projector. So they get in the bat boat and they go out to the ocean. Actually, I'm pretty sure the next thing that happens, pretty sure after they figure out the four of them are working together, you see Kitka walking into this bar tavern on the dock, and she goes upstairs and we find out that's where the secret hideout is for Penguin, Joker, Riddler, and Catwoman. Ooh, we find out Kitka is Catwoman. We also find out that they have a captain hostage, and I'm assuming the captain of that boat that they stole or something. Basically, this captain dude is in this room that they've decorated to make look like it's the inside of a boat. So this captain is completely oblivious that he's been captured. He just thinks he's on a boat, even though the Joker is the one bringing him tea. I don't know how important it is that you know that, but he comes into play later, so keep in mind they've got a captain. Okay, so now Batman and Robin get in their bat boat and they're going out to the ocean to find this buoy. There's no fingerprints because of salt water and wind or something. But Batman finds out by just releasing one single screw. This big panel falls out and this giant camera pops out of it, and there's the projector. Meanwhile, the four hooligans are in a submarine and they start firing off torpedoes at them. Oh wait, first thing they do is they attach them to the buoy with magnets. The only thing on them that's metal is their belts. So they get attached to the buoy by their belts. You think just take off your belt and you can get off, but they're struggling, they can't do it. So Batman gets out this fancy little device. Torpedoes are being shot at him. He's doing some little frequency thing to like blow them up before they get to him, I guess. But then the batteries die. What did they do? Honestly, I can't remember. They got off the buoy somehow and escaped on the bat boat. Basically, this whole movie is one giant plot hole, so... Now, the gang of villains need to figure out a new plan to get Batman. Let's lure Bruce Wayne with Kitka, and then Batman will come have to save Bruce Wayne, and then we'll get him in our hideout, and then we'll push him onto this giant springboard that the Joker made, shoot him out the window into the arms of a robot octopus in the ocean. Foolproof plan. Cut to Wayne Manor. Kitka is hanging out with Bruce Wayne, ends up with Bruce asking her out to dinner because Bruce is a sucker for the ladies. So they go out to dinner. She has like a martini and he's swirling around this fancy little glass of what looks like milk. And I was very confused. To each their own, but what? And then they go dancing and then they go for a carriage ride. Bruce is like getting all cozy and she tells him to close his eyes and like dream about the future or something. And while his eyes are closed, she reaches into her bag and she pulls out this little like cat figurine that has an antenna coming out of its head. And when she pushes in the tail, his eyes blink and it's sending Morse code to the other villains back at the hideout with this little meow meow thing. It's like that was horrible. I don't know why I tried to impersonate that. So at the end of the carriage ride, Bruce is like, hey, let me take you home. Cut to Kitka's apartment and she says she's gonna go change into something more comfortable. And then she kisses Bruce. And this just made me realize how confused I am that in old movies, when an actor and actress kiss, they would smash their faces together so hard. And just kind of like mush around. And I'm like, did they actually kiss like that back then? Or they were just like extra forceful to like try to evoke passion? But it bothers me. I'm just like, no one kisses like that. Why was that a thing? Anyways, they're having their little moment and then all these like thugs come breaking in her apartment, knocking things around, and Bruce starts fighting all of them. And there's this like fight scene with those really good fight techniques where their fist is at least 5 inches away from the other person and they kind of pause before they're gonna get punched and wait for it and then go whoa. Basically, Bruce gets pinned down. There's just too many guys. Cut to the hideout. They have taken Bruce Wayne to the hideout. Obviously, Kitka's there because she's Catwoman and she was in on it the whole time. Bruce Wayne wakes up and he's looking around and he's like, what the heck? I don't remember exactly what he said, but he doesn't talk like that either. He like fights with everybody and ends up escaping out the window, jumps into the ocean, and then it cuts back to Wayne Manor and Bruce Wayne's just running in the door and I'm like, did he swim back home? Because I have a feeling that's probably far from wherever they were just at. He and Robin run down to the Batcave and they gotta get back there to save Kitka. They get to the hideout and they jump in the window. Immediately he notices that everybody's gone. All that's left sitting in the room is this giant bomb that's just spurting sparks out of the top of it. And then this is one of the most memorable scenes of the whole movie of Batman holding the bomb over his head and running back and forth across the dock, trying to find a place to throw it overboard. He starts running, there's two nuns, turns around, there's a mom and a baby, turns turns around, there's a marching band. Continue that for like 2 minutes, like real time. He finally gets to an edge of the dock. But then a couple in a boat comes like sailing by, run to the other side. Finally, well, we assume he finally found a place to throw it because he runs off screen and there's an explosion. Robin comes over to find him. Batman pops up and he's like, "It's okay, I hid behind these iron pipes." Again, he doesn't talk like that, but I don't know how to talk like Adam West. And then the Penguin comes waddling over, dressed like a captain. Batman and Robin aren't fooled for a second. Well, like 1 second. And then Batman says, "That's the Penguin." And they blatantly say to his face, "What do you want, Penguin?" And he's just like, "I'm not the Penguin." And she's like, "Who are you fooling, dude? You got your monocle and your freaking nose and your little cigarette holder. You're even wearing the same colors." They end up taking Penguin back to the Batcave. Oh, I left out another important thing you must know first. There was a scene, some point before the bomb scene, Penguin demonstrated this new device he had, dehydrator thing. Are you kidding me? I'm trying to film here. He's got some crazy laser gun dehydrator device, which actually does a pretty morbid thing. He brings in these like 5 thugs, zaps each of them, and it zaps them, turns them into a pile of dust, and it puts all their body moisture in this little tank, and they scoop them into little vials. Now forward back to Penguin going to the Batcave. He took all those little tubes with him, and he secretly hooks them up to this like water fountain machine, and instantly once they get water in them, they just turn back to people. And Batman's like, "Oh my gosh, where these guys come from?" They immediately jump into action to fight him, and right when he touches them, they pop and just disappear. 5 men died. They just all get back into Batmobile. Once they get outside, Penguin just gasses Batman and Robin. They fall out of the Batmobile. Penguin takes the Batmobile and speeds off down the road. Batman and Robin immediately pop back to life because they have a penguin gas antidote in their bodies, which I feel like would block them from getting knocked out in the first place, but what do I know about antidotes? They just so happen to have the Batmobile, no, the Bat bike, hidden in a bush immediately across the street from where they just got knocked out of the car. Catwoman, Joker, and Riddler take the submarine to the United World building, which is where Penguin's going, and they all meet up at the top floor where Penguin's gassed all the guards. They go into this meeting room where a bunch of world leaders are sitting around a table yelling at each other about nothing. This villain super squad gets in there with their dehydrator gun. Of course, no one notices that these 4 absurdly dressed people entered the room with the giant tank gun thing. Penguin just vaporizes all of them in their seats, and they scoop them up into vials, and they just stolen all the world leaders. Again, I don't know why. The villains get back on the submarine and go back out to the ocean. Batman and Robin jump on the Batboat and go after them. As the Batmobile or Batboat was approaching the submarine's area, they're shooting more torpedoes at them, but Robin had a new fancy little device that he used to send frequencies to the torpedoes to blow them up before they hit them. Batman starts circling the boat around wherever they are. While they're like spinning around, Robin's like shooting a cannon into the water, and with these amazing splash color effects, you can see where the bombs are hitting the submarine. They shot the submarine like 7 times. It was overkill. Batman was even the one to say, "We have to be careful because we need all those vials in whole form so we can save the world leaders." I think it's a little irresponsible to be shooting up the submarine so many times. While everything's flailing around, they keep showing this cut scene of there's this little rack of all the test tubes, and it's just rocking back and forth so violently. So eventually they surface because they're like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna get blown up. We're starting to sink." And once they hit the surface, Batman Batman and Robin jump on the submarine. Pretty much everybody inside comes up out of the submarine, and there's another fabulous fight scene on the deck with all the pow, swat, pow, pops. And basically everybody ends up in the water besides Batman. Catwoman was just hanging out up top on the deck the whole time, just watching everybody fight for her, as always. Just in this movie, I love Catwoman, but this movie, she was just ridiculous. She didn't help with anything. She climbs back into the submarine, they chase her in there, she falls on the ground, and her mask falls off, and Batman sees that it's Kitka, but it was Catwoman the whole time. And then for literally a whole 30 seconds, Batman just stares off into the distance, listening to the song that they dance to and just letting his heart break. Robin's like, hey, Batman, are you okay? Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure Catwoman was just laying on the ground looking at them for that whole 30 seconds. Robin ties up Catwoman, and Batman goes over to grab all the little tubies with the world leaders in them. And that captain I told you about earlier comes stumbling out of nowhere and freaking falls over on the counter, knocks all the tubes over and breaks them, and then finishes it off by just sneezing all over the whole table. And everyone's just like, are you kidding me? Who is this old man? Where did he come from? Why is he sneezing? Then it cuts to the Batcave, and he's got this fancy dust separator machine so he can put them in all their individual tubes again. It works. They get back to the world leader building. They set up this fancy little tubey contraption to all their chairs. He slowly trickles water into all of them, and they all pop back to life, but they're all speaking the wrong language, and everyone's just like, oh no. There's nothing they can do, so Batman and Robin just leave. They're just like, oops. Well, we better go. Basically, the movie ends from there. It is truly as crazy and ridiculous as I explained it. I know I was all over the place, but that's how the movie is. I actually saw this movie back when I was a kid. I don't remember how old, but I was young. This was actually the first Batman movie I'd ever seen. And I remember when I was younger, I didn't fully understand the concept of like campy or like being ridiculous and silly on purpose in a movie. So I just thought that back then that they thought this was a good movie. I don't know, I thought it was just like the real deal of the 60s. I was like, the movie's not very good. Adam West is a one-of-a-kind Batman for sure. And yeah, if you're ever in the mood for some lighthearted, just goofy ridiculousness, that's a good movie to go to. It was fun to watch it again. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, you can follow me on all social media at its_just_Caitlin, or on Facebook is It's Just Caitlin. I'm trying to get into a rhythm of the type of videos that I'm making and posting. But yeah, stay tuned. I got a lot of ideas coming, and thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!